going on, guys? Viggy Smalls here from ViggySmallsGaming.com. I was fucking with you. Today I'm going to be giving out my Templar build that I've been using for the past couple of months. The first half of the video is just going to be a quick in-depth of this build, just getting that out of the way. Just if you would just want to run something simple, here's a good build. This works for a lot of stuff. It's very versatile. You can use it for almost anything. And then the later half will be a more in-depth look at Stamina Templar as a whole and what's best in slot, and it's going to be a more advanced build that a lot of people are running. I think I prefer this one though, the first one, but you can run either. So we'll just get this one out of the way real quick. So for your sets, Fury, still really strong. They reworked it a little bit more. It's really good outnumbered. Anytime you're solo or small scale, Fury is the way to go, in my opinion. If you're running a larger group, like 4, maybe 6 people, then Alchemist is going to be quite a bit stronger because you're going to be able to time your burst way better. But if you're, very small group, then you're definitely you're going to want to go Fury. You're going to want a Maul too. A lot of people are kind of riding that line between Maul and Greatsword. Axe isn't bad, but at the end of the day, you're going to want what's best outnumbered when you have multiple people on you, and an Axe really isn't the way to go for that. A Maul is going to be best against endgame players that are very tanky, while swords are going to be better against pugs that are not as well spec'd and their builds aren't as good, and they definitely aren't as tanky. So the reason to go Maul is because it's just going to be better against those endgame players, and they're going to be ones that are harder to kill. So that's why the Maul is the way to go. Weapon damage enchant. A lot of people like shock. A shock glyph has a 20% chance to, I think it's a 20% chance to proc minor vulnerability, which is 8% more damage. And you can proc that enchant once every 5 seconds, I believe. I might be wrong, could be 10. But I think weapon damage is just the way to go. This is the same thing with the Maul. It's gonna be more versatile. You're gonna be able to use it against more people. It's gonna increase your healing, all that. So you can run a shock glyph if you really want, if you really know the numbers behind it, do it. Back bar, also Fury, get that 5-piece, powered one-hander, definitely the way to go. Shield, impen, everything's always impen. Stamina drain poisons, these are probably the best poisons. 476 recovery while they're up, you really can't beat it. You can run the drain health ones, gives you a little bit less recov overall, but I think these are definitely the way to go. It's very hard for me to run out of stamina, so I'm just running circles forever and ever. It is very difficult. And on our body, it's going to be a heavy chest. Always go heavy chest every time. Your helmet, shoulders, legs, and feet all are the same resistance. So as long as those, one other piece of that is heavy, then you'll be fine. So make sure you get that too heavy. Doesn't matter if you have Fury legs, feet, just whatever. And 3 Bone Pirate. Bone Pirate's a set that's it's almost good in any situation whatsoever. It's kind of been falling out lately because of how strong Lava Foot is. But with the addition of how strong Pack Leader is now, it's better than Hulking. Hulking was way better with Triglyph, so it'd give you more max stats overall. But now that Pack Leader is a thing, Pack Leader is the way to go with this. And it just gives you an insane amount of max stam. That's why we have all infused on our jewelry. It is absolutely insane. It's all weapon damage too, so just make sure you're getting, again, as long as you're mix and matching, it doesn't have to be like, you don't have to have a Fury ring and, Bone Pirate neck and ring. You can mix and match. So as long as you just have the 5 pieces and a heavy chest and one other heavy piece, then you're good to go. It really doesn't matter where you try to min-max at. So we'll take a look at our stats here. Good amount of recov, really high max stam, 37.8k. That's higher than most people have these days. It's really dropped. So more max stam is going to mean more recovery at the end of the day, because it's going to be harder for you to run out of stam, and it's going to give you more time for your stam to regen. That's one of the reasons why the recovery is lower than most other builds. And weapon damage seems kind of low. That is because we're Nord. That's why resistances are through the roof. We stand in our rune on our back bar, 31k spell without blood spawn procced. That's just absolutely insane. Third, almost 3.3k crit resist. That's incredible too. The reason why we still run Blood Spawn as our best in slot set and not a whole number of things, this thing will just proc like fucking crazy when you're outnumbered. And it can proc once every 6 seconds. It probably won't happen. If it procs once every 7 seconds, that's an extra 2 ultimate a second. That is incredible, incredible ultimate regen. One of the problems with Alchemist versus Fury is you really are going to get the best burst every once in a while, and sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. But the thing with Fury is you're almost always ready to burst people, because you almost always have that weapon damage up. Same with the Bone Pirate and All Infused. It's going to give you a lot of damage that whenever you do have your ultimate up and you want to rip it, you're going to be able to rip it and do damage. The food we are running is Pack Leader. Pack Leader's really, really strong right now. I don't even know what the werewolf buff does for it. I really could care less. We're running the Serpent. You could run, just if you feel like your stam recovery is a little bit low, go 1 infused on your jewelry with stam recovery and then run the Warrior. Just mix and match, see what you need, get up, handle things, see what's going on. Recovery is definitely person by person. Some people feel like recovery is worse these days. Some people feel like it's better. It's all up to the individual. We are a stage 3 vampire. A lot of people don't like vampire these days. Vampire's looking like it's gonna get a rework, so things could change. If vampire ever does get changed to a point where it's not usable, then it'd probably just be worth taking off and throwing on a stam recovery enchant. But right now it's not too bad. 20% more fire damage. Not a lot of mag DKs out there. Donnies do hurt, but that undeath passive is gonna be just better overall when you're fighting outnumbered. Especially if you're ripping sword and board ults, you're gonna turn into an absolute tank when you're low health. You will just not die. Let's go over skills. Now obviously you want all your passives. Anytime you want all your class passives. If you're using 2H, one hand shield, you want all that, medium, heavy, all that, all that. There's no need to go over that. Let's go over each skill individually. Power of the Light, no brainer. Incredible damage, great burst. Minor fracture, awesome. Channeled accelerate. You need to be able to move. It's important to know when to rip channeled accelerate. It takes a lot of getting to know. It's very difficult at first. But once you get it working, 36 seconds of minor force is really strong on Templar. You have higher crit than most, and you already get an extra 10% crit damage. It's really, really strong. When you do rip this, you do get that extra movement speed for 12 seconds. You don't have to keep re-upping, re-upping, re-upping. It's really, really, really strong. And when you are casting Channel 2, you do get major protection. So if you know when to rip it, if you have CC immunity and you feel like you're going to take a lot of damage, without having to block, you can just cast this skill while re-upping it and get major protection. So you can also know when to time that at the right moment and become a tank on your front bar, cast this while re-upping it, and then people can't bash you out of it, and you have CC immunity. This is a very, very good skill. Rally, no brainer. Executioner, it's an extra 100% compared to Reverse Slice. Templar, you're just going to want to one-bang people with Power of the Light, so you don't want that Reverse Slice like some other classes. Fighting Jabs, no brainer. Donnie, you can run Onslaught. I really, really don't like it. I know it's kind of cheesy. I really don't like it, so I don't run Onslaught. You can run the other morph of Crescent Sweep. People do like it. And the empowerment is basically useless, but it costs nothing. So this is another thing where it comes down to the individual. If you've been running Empowering Sweep and you like it, go for it. I prefer Donnie. So it's all up to the individual. Reverb. People will be looking at this and kind of be getting a little bit of a what the fuck vibe. Reverb doesn't apply minor defile anymore. Sucks. Or major defile, my bad. But this is actually a really good CC. It's a way harder CC. It's cheaper than Javelin. Javelin does a little bit more damage, true, on the initial. But the thing about reverb that makes it really strong, let me get a better estimate of the damage. So what you're going to do is you're going to light attack reverb bar swap, and the damage of reverb is going to be 5.5k. Now it does half that when you hit them with the reverb, and the other half, another 5.5k when they CC break. So when they CC break, they're taking that 5.5k damage while you're hitting them with another skill. So it definitely adds a more extra damage. You're probably going to be jabbing them. So you can definitely tell when you reverb someone they CC break that little extra 5.5k. It does make a difference. It is strong. And it's just cheaper. It's kind of annoying to land these days. Excuse me. 5-meter range. It's a little fucked, but it's definitely better than javelin. It's cheaper. It's probably just the way to go. Next. Bigger. No, that extended ritual. I'd just rather cleanse more effects, honestly, instead of putting down a dot that doesn't do a ton of damage. When you're fighting outnumbered, you really just want to cleanse effects. It's the way to go. This heals for a shitload in PvP. Probably way too much. This is the only way you're going to be able to heal allies because they fucked Vigor over. This is going to be the way to go. Shuffle, obviously. People don't like to run Shuffle these days. I think Major Evasion is still really strong. The Snare Immunity is incredible. Storing Focus, no-brainer. Sword Immortal, Spell Wall, really strong. It's like Wings. It's going to reflect everything back. Or at least old Wings, my bad. Rip that. It's going to reflect everything back. It's going to be really strong when you're turning into a tank. I mean, blocking everything for free. You're going to be moving around. It's really, really good. A lot of people like to run Sijic, but because we are on a Templar when we do jab, we get minor protection. Yeah, it's not up all the time, but one of the things I try to do when I'm getting Zerg down is I try to biting jab. You look kind of stupid, but what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to keep major savagery up and minor protection up, because that crit will increase your healing, your crit healing, how often you crit heal, my bad, and it'll proc your minor protection. So Sijic is nice. If you don't want to grind Sword and Board ulti, that's fine. The ultimate is buggy as shit. If it worked as intended every time, it would probably be the way to go. But when you run Sijic ulti, you're basically you're playing Russian roulette, which is kind of stupid in my opinion. So no point behind it. One passive I will show off. We are Nord. Nord gets, instead of 238 weapon damage, you get 4k resistances, which in my opinion is a little bit better after the protective nerf. You do lose 500 stamp compared, but you also get more ultimate regen, which synergizes really well with Blood Spawn. So that's a really, really strong way to go. Champion points. This is another thing where it's kind of dealer's choice. That's not a good way to put it. Each their own. Whatever you like, whatever you feel like you're doing more. If you're sprinting more, put more into that. Just whatever you feel. The biggest things are, I'd try to cut down break free as much as possible. If you're bashing a lot in your sword and board, you don't need a lot in the bashing focus, but there's a weird immovable pot cheese thing right now where people can res with an immovable pot. And sometimes I just try bash spamming them, and it will eventually CC them and stop them from rezzing, so I put a little bit more into bashing focus. One into Siphoner, because I put the dot on them. 37 Tenacity, don't heavy attack a lot. 64 Mooncalf. 1 into Befoul, don't ask me why. 61 Tumbling, and 31 Shadow Ward. For blue, we have 32 Blessed. 66 Master at Arms. 61 Precise Strikes, because we're a snap bar with higher crit than most. 47 Piercing. 64 Mighty. You could maybe put a few points on Thaumaturge if you really wanted to, but all it's going to do is increase the damage of your Dawnbreaker dot, which, I mean, it already hits roughly hard. I mean, you could up it a little bit more, but I think I'd just rather buff the hell out of my jabs and other skills. 66 Ironclad. Almost everything in Cyrodiil is direct damage. Dots are, some dots are really good, most dots are just really shit. 48 into crit resist. 44 thick skin, 56, 56, and a none into quick recovery. So that's a quick in-depth of the, not very quick, but an in-depth look at the Templar build I've been running. So if that's enough for you, great. Now I'm going to go into a little bit more about what the other set is that most people are running, if that's going to be a little bit more numbering. So let's get into that. So here is the first setup that we are running. This is just what we were just looking at. Now this is the ESO build editor. It lets you get a little bit more of an idea of all your stats. It's really useful. It gives you almost everything. Now this is one of the important things. This is effective weapon power. Effective weapon power just gives you an idea of how hard you're gonna hit and how strong your build is in terms of damage. Now, it's not a guarantee this build has more effective weapon power, it's better. It's just giving you, hey, this is how hard you're probably gonna hit. This is how effective it's gonna be. So it does give you a rough estimate of how strong it is. Now, the other setup people have been running is Alchemist and Fury. This setup is very strong too. It has a couple of drawbacks that I really don't like. Now, the biggest thing is, if you could take a look at the effective weapon power, this is 8.6k. This is up at base without any Fury proc all the time. Without any Fury proc, the Alchemist effective weapon power is at 7.9. It's quite a drop. When you do proc your Alchemist, it's definitely stronger. Guaranteed. But obviously that's not up all the time. That's one of the reasons why I do like the Bone Pirate setup a little bit more. Now for this, you do have a bit more recov with Alchemist and Fury. And then if we look up here, your max stam is almost 4k lower. That's one of the reasons why you're going to have more recov. You're going to have less max stam, you're going to run out sooner, you're going to need more recov. It's just a fact. Weapon damage is a little bit lower base too. That's one of the reasons why effective weapon power is lower. And I think that's because, yeah, having to run at least 2 robust. Because you're going to run out of stam if you go all infused really quick. Now, if we do proc the Alchemist, you're going to have an incredible amount of weapon damage. This thing is going to have great burst. You're going to be able to focus someone down. If that's what you really want to do, do it by all means. You're also going to have, I think it's almost 2k less health overall, which is really, really big. But you do get potentates on the back bar. So it does balance out in terms of tankiness 100%. Overall, the Alchemist build will give you more burst and more damage. However, I don't think it's the way to go. It's still really strong, by all means. It might be a slightly better setup, but it's also going to be very, very difficult for most people to play. Very, very difficult, because you're going to have to time your burst very well to make the most of that Alchemist and Fury. So, it's one way to go. If we take a look, the effective weapon power, it's absolutely insane. It takes into account the weapon damage and stamina and all that. What I will show too is we can see what the Fury proc would be if we max it out. I don't think you can go to 21 these days, can it? Yeah, it's pretty high. So that's a little bit more about just what's best in Sod on Templar. It's just high damage. Your jabs are going to tear through people these days, which is really good. It's about time. They're very tanky. It reminds me a lot of Stam BK and what they used to be. Great burst. Very tanky. Very, very strong. And that's it. Thanks for checking this build video out. I'm gonna put up both of these links down to each of these builds in the video description. So if you want to take a look at either of them, if you want to see a little bit more about each little thing I'm running, go down to the very nitty-gritty stuff. It'll all be over here. Everything will be in here. It'll give you a lot more information about every single buff that's up, and it's just a very, very nice thing to have. And it gives you a little bit more of an understanding behind why you run a lot of different stuff these days. So thanks for watching. Make sure to hit that like button and subscribe for more videos. And thanks for watching.